כאמור לדוד, ברכי נפשי אל אדוני, וכל קרבי את שם קודשו. האל בתעצומות עוזך, הגדול בכבוד שמך, הגיבור לנצח ונורא בנורותיך, המלך היושב על כיסא רם ונישא.
We continue in the middle of page 105 with Shochenad as we segue into the official Shacharit, the morning service.
Shochenad maharom v'kadosh shemoho.
Shochenad maharom v'kadosh shemoho.
בפי ישרים תתהלל, לדברי צדיקים תתברך, ובלשון חסידים תתרומם. ובקרב קדושים תתקדש, ובמחלות רביבות עמך בית ישראל. ברינה יתפרשם כמגנו. שכן חובה כל עשים לפניך, אדוני עלינו ולאבותינו, להדול להלל, לשבח, לפעל לרומם, להדר, לברך, להלל, קלס, על כל דברי זכות ותשבחות. David ben Yishai Avdecha Meshichecha.
We rise, top of page 106.
Yishtabach Shimcha Lad Malkeinu. Brachot ve'hodaot me'ata ve'ad olam. Baruch atah Adonai el melech gadol v'tishbachot el hadot Adonai niflaot habocher b'shirei simra melech elchei olamim.
We pause for a moment in the middle of page 106. I'd like to invite up our Bachora Habat Mitzvah, our Bat Mitzvah girl, Maddie Duffy, along with her parents, Todd and Susan Esquire, to present her with her very first talit, beautiful Bat Mitzvah talit. Each take a corner. All right, nice and loud. Remember the bracha.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehit hatet bat tzitzit.
Beautiful.
Amen.
As they say in football, especially if your father's watching a field goal with the Eagles, it's up and it's good. And you're surrounded in the tzitzit, the ritual fringes, which remind you of your connection to God, Torah, and the Jewish people. You're off to a great start. And as we'd say in baseball, you're batting 1,000. Now you're going to have a seat actually with Saul Waxman on the other side of the bima, because we're going to hear from you in just a moment. But keep up that great work. And we continue now as we're officially in the Shacharit, or the morning service, middle of page 106 with the Aramaic Chatzi Kaddish, the half Kaddish, which always represents a transition in our service. And Maddie Duffy is going to lead us in it.
We thought you were all grown up.
Yeah, I'm not.
Yitgadal ve'yitgadal shemei Rabba.
Amen.
Ve'alma divra kirutei ve'amlich malchutei b'chayechonu v'yomechon v'chayed chol Beit Yisrael. Bagala, bagala, uvizman kariv ve'yimeru amen. Yehei shmei Rabba mevorach le'olam lo me'omaya yitbarach. Yitbarach ve'yishtaba ve'yitfa'ar ve'yitromam ve'yitnaseh ve'yitadar ve'yitaleh ve'yitalal shemei dekudasha
Brechu.
La'elam min kol birchata ve'shirata tushbechata ve'nechamata damihiram ve'alma ve'meru amen.
Wait, what?
So, stay.
Baruch et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam yotzer uborei choshech oseh shalom uborei et hakol.
You may be seated, middle of page 107.
אין כאקך אדוני אלוהינו בעולם הזה, ואין זולת כמוכנו לעולם הבא, אפס בלתך גואלנו למות המשיח, ואין דומה לך, מושיענו לתחיית המתים. אל אדון על כל המעשים, ברוך ומבורך בפי כל נשמה, כל דור וטובו, מלא עולם, דעת ותבונה סובבים אותו. המתגאה על חיות הקודש, ונדע בכבוד על המחווה, על המחווה. זכות ומשול לפני כיסו, חסד ורחמים לפני כבודו. טובים מאורות שברא אלוהינו, יצרם בדעת בבינה וחסקל, כוח וגבורה נתן בהם, להיות מושלים בקרב תבל, מלאים זיו ומפיקים נוגה, נועה זיום בכל העולם, שמחים בצאתם וששים בבואם. עושים ביהם רצון קונם, פר וכבוד נותנים לשמו, צולה ורינה לזכר מלכותו. קרא לשמש ויזרחו, רב והתקין צורת הלבנה, שבח נותנים לו כל צבא מרום, תפארת וגדולה, שרפים ואופנים וחיות הקודש. אל אשר שבח כל המעשים ביום השביעי,
Top of 109.
ישב על כיסא כבודו. תתברך מושיענו על שבח מעשה ידיך ויאמרהו שעשית ברוך הסלע.
Top of 110.
תתברך צורנו מלכנו וגואלנו בורא קדושים. כולם אהובים, כולם ברורים, כולם גיבורים, וכולם עושים בימיו יראה רצון קונם. וכולם פותחים את פיהם בקדושה ובטהרה, בשירה ובזמרה, ומברכים ומשבחים ומפארים ומעריצים ומקדישים וממליכים את שם האל המלך הגדול, הגיבור והנורא הקדוש הוא. וכולם מקבלים עליהם על מלכות שמיים זה מזה, ונותנים רשות זה לזה, להקדיש אותם בנחת רוח, בשפה ברורה ונימה קדושה, כולם כי אחד עונים ויאמרים ביראה.
קדוש,
קדוש, קדוש, קדוש, אדוני צבאות, מלוא כל הארץ כבודו. באופנים בחיות הקודש, ברעש גדול, מתנסים לי ומצרפים לי ומשווקים, ואומרים ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו. ברוך שמו ייתנו למלך החי וקיים זמירות ימינו ותשפחות ישמיעו. הוא לבדו פועל גבורות עושה חדשות במקום. O Chadash Tzion Tayir, O Chadash Tzion Tayir, B'nizcheh kulanu mehera leoro, mehera leoro, Baruch Atah Adonai, Yotzeh HaMiorot.
Top of 111.
והביאנו לשלום מארבע כנפות הארץ, ותוליכנו קוממיות לארצנו. כי אל פועל ישועות אתה, ובנו ברכתה מכל עם ולשון, וקרבתנו לשמך הגדול, סלע באמת להודות לך וליחדך באהבה. ברוך אתה אדוני הבוחר בעמו ישראל באהבה.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להיות על ידך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך.
למען ירבו ימיכם וימי בניכם על האדמה אשר נשבע אדוני לאבותיכם לתת להם כימי השמיים על הארץ. ויאמר אדוני אל משה לאמור, דבר בני ישראל ואמרת עליהם, ויעשו להם ציצית על כנפי בגדיהם לדורותם, ונתנו על ציצית הכנף בתיר תכלת, והיה לכם לציצית, ראיתם אותו, זכרתם את כל מצוות אדוני ועשיתם אותם, ולא תטורו אחרי לבבכם ואחרי עיניכם אשר אתם זונים אחריהם, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
לדור ודור הוא קיים ושמו קיים, וכיסא נכון ומלכותו ואמונתו לעד קיימת, ודבריו חיים וקיימים, נאמנים נחמדים לעד ליומי עולמים. על אבותינו ועלינו ועל בנינו ועל דורותינו. את שאתה הוא אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו, מלכנו מלך אבותינו, גואלנו גואל אבותינו, יוצרנו צור ישועתנו, פדנו מצילנו מעלם שמך, אין אלוהים זולתך, עזרת אבותינו אתה הוא מעולם. תהילות לאל עליון, ברוך הוא מבורך, משה ובני ישראל הכנו שירה, בשמחה רבה ויאמרו כולם, מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף אליהם. שירה חדשה, שיבחו גאולים לשמך, על שפת הים, יחד כולם הודו והמלכו ויאמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. צור ישראל קומה בעזרת ישראל, ופתקנו ממך יהודה וישראל. גואלנו אדוני צבאות שמו, קדוש ישראל, ברוך אתה אדוני, God Yisrael.
We all rise for the Amidah, the standing portion of the service, page 115b. We're looking straight ahead at the Aron Kodesh, the Holy Ark, and of course, eastward towards Jerusalem.
Ready?
Yep. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor V'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim V'Konei HaKol V'Zoker Chasei Avod U'Meid Goel Lifnei B'neihem L'man Shemo V'Yava Melech Hoseb M'Fokei U'Mashiach U'Magen Baruch Atah Adonai Magen Avraham Ufokei Sarah Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai Mechayei Metim Ad Halam Ve'Oshia Mo'id Hatam Mechakel Chaim B'Chesed Mechayei Metiv Berachamim Habim Somech Novlim Ufeh Cholim Umatir Asurim Umekayei Emunato Lishenei Afa Michamocha Bagivurot Umizo Mehelach Melech Memid Umechayei Umatzmiach Yeshua
B'ne'eman atah l'chayot meiti.
Baruch atah Adonai
Mechayei ha'metim. נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאך, וקרא זה אל זה ויאמר, קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוא כל הארץ כבודו. אז בכל רעש גדול, אדיר וחזק משמיעים קול, מנסים לעומת שרפים, לעומתם ברוך יומנו, ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו. ממקומך מלכנו, מלכנו תופיע, ותמלוך עלינו, כי מחכים אנחנו לך. מתי, 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 מתי תמלוך בציון? מתי, 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 מתי תמלוך בציון? בקרוב, בקרוב בימינו, בקרוב, בקרוב בימינו, בקרוב, בקרוב בימינו, לעולם ועד תשכון. תתגדל ותתקדש בתוך ירושלים עירך, לדור ודור, לדור ודור, ולנצח נצחים. ועינינו ועינינו תראנה, תראנה מלכותך, כדבר כדבר האמור בשירי עוזך. על ידי דוד, על ידי דוד, משיח צדקך. על ידי דוד, על ידי דוד, משיח צדקך. ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהיך ציון לדור ודור. הללויה.
לדור ודור,
לדור ודור,
לדור ודור,
לדור ודור,
לדור ודור נגיד גדלך, ולנצח. לדור ודור,
לדור ודור,
לדור ודור,
לדור ודור,
לדור ודור נגיד גדלך, ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש, קדושתך נקדיש. ושכך אלוהינו מבנו לא ימוש, לא ימוש לעולם ועד. לדור ודור,
לדור ודור,
לדור ודור,
לדור ודור,
לדור ודור נגיד גדלך. לדור ודור,
לדור ודור,
לדור ודור,
לדור ודור,
לדור ודור נגיד גדלך. כי לנצח נצחים קדוש אתה, קדוש קדוש אתה. כי המלך גדול וקדוש אתה, גדול
וקדוש אתה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
Continue down silently in the Hebrew or the English through page
120. כולם יתברך ממש כמה כן תמיד יום
Can I just see Shani? Can I see Shani? If you have it. I need to look over it. Yeah, I know.
Look, whatever you don't read this week, you'll come back next week and read.
Oh, sure, sure.
Sim shalom tova uvracha chen b'chesed v'rachamim aleinu aleinu v'al kol Yisrael amecha barchenu avinu kulanu ki echad b'or panecha ki b'or panecha natata lanu Adonai Eloheinu Torat Chaim v'ahavat chesed u'tzedakah uvracha v'rachamim v'chaim v'shalom. Sim shalom tova uvracha chen v'chesed v'rachamim aleinu aleinu v'al kol Yisrael amecha V'tov yenecha levarech et amcha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שים שלום טובה וברכה כן וחסד ורחמים עלינו עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל ישראל עמך. ברוך אתה אדוני המברך את עמו ישראל בשלום.
Page 138, Kaddish Shalem.
The whole one?
Go, no, you go ahead.
Amen.
Bi'amadi raki l'tei v'yamlik machutei v'chayechonu v'yamechonu v'chayed kopet Yisrael b'galav yisman kari v'yimru.
Amen. Mishmei Rabba Mevorach Le'olam Me'omaya Yitbarach
V'yishtabach v'yibar v'yiroma v'yitnaseh v'yitah v'yitalev v'yitalav shmei l'kudsha
Rechu
V'chuli elam min kol b'chata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata damiram v'yama v'yimru.
Amen.
Titkabal sloton v'atohon kol Yisrael kadama v'hon divishmaya v'yimru.
Amen.
Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru.
Amen.
Oh, say shalom
V'romav Hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'yimru amen. Yaseh shalom shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
Amen.
Page 139, Seder Kriyat HaTorah, the service for taking out and subsequently reading from our Torah scroll.
אין כמוך באלוהים אדוני ואין כמעשיך מלכותך מלכות כל עולמים וממשלתך בכל דור ודור. אדוני מלך אדוני מלך אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. אדוני יעוז לעמו ייתן. אדוני יברך את עמו בשלום. אברך עמי, היטיבה ברצונך את ציון. תבנה חומות ירושלים, תבנה חומות ירושלים, כי בך לבד בטחנו, מלך רם ונישא, אדון עולמי. Come with me. Come with me.
ויפוצו אויביך. Torah. Shomar Adonai Mi'Yerushalayim.
Baruch Shenatan Torah, Baruch
Shenatan Torah, Torah.
Le'amo Yisrael, B'Kdushato.
We continue with the Aramaic passage from the Zohar, middle of 139, until the fifth line from the top of page 140. Stuff Torah?
Be'anarachetz, Lishme Kadisha, Kadisha Yakira, Anan Matush Becha. Be'anarachetz, Be'anarachetz, Lishme Kadisha, Kadisha Yakira, Anan Matush Becha. תפתח ליבי באורייתא, וחשי משאלי לליבי, לליבה לכל עמך ישראל, לטעבור חיים ולשלום. אמן.
The Torah is taken from the ark and it is passed from door by door, from generation to generation, from grandparent to parents to Eliana, finally to Maddie himself.
דור ודור, לדור ודור, לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, ולנצח נצחים, ולנצח נצחים, קדושתך נקדיש. בשבחך אלוהינו, מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד, כי אל מלך גדול, כי אל מלך גדול, וקדוש אתה. כי אל מלך גדול, כי אל מלך גדול, וקדוש אתה.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonai Kadosh Shemo.
Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonai Kadosh.
ונרוממה שמו יחדיו. אדוני, צלולה והגבורה והתפארת, ויצא והאור, יקרות השמיים והארץ. אדוני, אחת ואבית נעשה לכל ארוך, תורה ציווה לנו משה, Morasha Hilat Yaakov, Morasha Kehilat Yaakov. Take a seat. Shakehilat Yaakov, Torah Tziva Lanu Moshe.
You may be seated. The Torah reading for this Shabbat morning is Parshat Bamidbar. Not only is it Maddie Duffy's bat mitzvah, but we start a new book of the Torah, the fourth book and the penultimate book of the Torah, the book of Numbers, as it's known in English. In your red Eitz Chaim Chumashim, your red Chumashim page, we begin the Torah reading page 779, page 779, chapter 3, beginning verse 14. Of the Torah reading. Again, page 779, chapter 3, verse 14. And we're pleased and honored chanting the first aliyah for us this morning. It was just 3 years ago since her bat mitzvah. Maddie's older sister, Eliana Duffy, will be al barat koreh, our Torah reading for this very first aliyah. Again, page 779, chapter 3, verse 14, in the Hebrew or the English.
Start until it. They have there all the information on this paper. Yes. Baruch Shenatan Tov, this side, please. Yeah, English here. Matem advekim Adonai Elohechem chayim kolchem hayohom. Take your corner if you tell it.
Yo.
Touch and kiss here. Touch, kiss. Now say the first line. Baruch
Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Lolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Lolam Vaed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam. Asher bacha banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato, Baruch atah Adonai, noten ha'torah.
Second here,
Vaydaber Adonai el Moshe b'midbar Sinai lemor. This isn't the right one. This isn't the right one.
Pick code. We pause for a moment while we look for Parsha identification. But just want to point out that the first aliyah is about the appointment of the Levites. According to their ancestral house, Levi, the third son of Jacob, Moses and Aaron were, of course, of the tribe of Levi. And although they marched with the Israelite nation, they were not counted in the initial census because they couldn't be mustered into a fighting force, and they would serve a special role with the tabernacle and later on in the temple in Jerusalem. Page 779, verse 14.
Vaydaber Adonai el Moshe b'midbar Sinai lemor. Pekod ebnei Levi, Leveit avotam lemishbechotam kol zachar, miben kodesh v'malatif kedem, vayifkod otam, Moshe al pi Adonai kasher suva, vayehu ele b'nei Levi bishmotam, Gershon, ukayet umari, ve'ele shimot b'nei Gershon lemishbechotam, Levni umushi, Uvnei Kehat lemishbechotam Amram Vayetar Hebron ve'Uziel Uvnei Merari lemishbechotam Machli umushi Elechem Mishbechot Halevi לבית אבותם.
Okay, good job. Take your corner of your talit, touching kiss here, and say the blessing here. Baruch.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chaye olam natav b'tochenu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. The turning continues with the Levi Aliyah, page 779, verse 21 in the Hebrew English at the bottom of the page, and chanting this Aliyah, the second Aliyah, is our Bechorah Habat Mitzvah, our Bat Mitzvah girl, Maddie Duffy. Baruch Adonai Baruch Leolam Vaed.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
לגרשון משפחת הלבני ומשפחת השמי אליהם משפחות הגרשונים פקודיהם במספר כל זכר מבין חודש ומעלה פקודיהם 7,500 משפחות הגרשונים אחרי המשכן יחנו ימה ונוסיף את אב לגרשונים אליאסף בן לאל ומשמרת בני גרשון באוהל מועד המשכן והאוהל מכסהו ומסך פתח על מועד וכלי החצר ואת מסך פתח החצר אשר על המשכן ועל המזבח סביב ואת מטורף לכל עבודתו.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bacham lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam natav b'tochenu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
You stay here until the second person coming.
Chavod.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach L'olam Vaed.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
אמן. ולכת משפחת הארמוני ומשפחת היצרי ומשפחת החברוני ומשפחת העוזלי אליהם משפחות הכהני במספר כל זכר מבין חודש ומעלה 8,600 שומרי משמרת הקודש משפחת בני קהת יחנו על ירך המשכן תימנה ונשיא בית אב למשפחת הקהתי אליצפן בן עוזיאל ומשמרתם הארון והשולחן והמנורה והמזבחות וכלי הקודש אשר ישרתו בהם והמסך וכל עבודתו ונשיאי נשיאי הלוי אלעזר בן אהרון הכהן פקודת שומרי משמרת הקודש למררי משפחת המחלי ומשפחת המושי אליהם משפחות המררי ופקודיהם במספר כל זכר מבין חודש ומעלה 6,200 ונשיא ביתם למשפחות מררי צוריאל בן אביחיל על ירך המשכן יחנו צפונה ופקודת משמרות בני מררי, קרשי המשכן ובריחיו, ועמודיו ואדניו, וכל קוליו וכל עבודתו, ועמודי חצר סביב, ואדניהם ביטד אותם, ומטריהם, והחונים לפני המשכן קדמה, לפני אוהל מזרחה, משה ואהרון ובניו, שמורים משמרת המקדש למשמרת בני ישראל, ועזר הקרוב יומהת. כל פקודי הלוויים אשר פוקד משה ואהרון על פי אדוני למשפחותם, כל זכר מבין חודש ומעלה 22 א'. ברוך.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Mashiach natan lanu Torah emet, v'ha'ala natan b'tuchenu, Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. You can go down.
Who's on? Hang on, Mom. Just this. Just that. One. Okay.
Baruch atah Adonai.
Baruch Adonai. Baruch Adonai.
Baruch Adonai.
I'm
Ham
Baruch.
Barak.
Baruch Adonai and Baruch Leolam Vaed. Baruch Adonai.
Baruch Adonai. Ham Barak.
Leolam.
Leolam Vaed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bakar banu
Bonnie.
mikol hamim, v'natan lanu et Toratu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. And chanting the Saliyah is the father of our bat mitzvah girl, Todd Duffy.
I got it really. Vayomer Adonai El Moshe Pekod Kol Behor Zachar Libnei Yisrael Mi Ben Chodesh Vamala Vesa Et Mispar Shemotam Velakachta Et Halveim Li Ani Adonai Tachat Kol Bechor Bivnei Yisrael Ve'et Behemat Halveim Tachat Kol Bechor Bivehemat Bnei Yisrael Vayivkod Moshe Ka'asher Tzivat Adonai Oto Et Kol Bechor Bivnei Yisrael Vayehi Kol Bechor Zachar Bemispar Shemo Mi Bein Chodesh Vamala Livkudehem Shenayim Veshrim Elef Shelosha Veshivim Umatayim. Baruch Tzieh.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'kaye olam natan b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. And we're pleased to have the fifth Aliyah, page 782, chapter 3, verse 44, taken by a past congregant and member of our Board of Trustees, Mr. Michael Cohen. Honored to have him back.
Moshe. Kohen. Baruch Hu Adonai HaMvorach.
Baruch Adonai Baruch
Baruch Adonai Baruch Olam Vaed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
אמן. וידבר אדוני אל משה לאמור, קח את הלוויים תחת כל בכור בבני ישראל, ואת בהמת הלוויים תחת בהמתם, והיו לי הלוויים אני אדוני, ואת פדויי השלושה והשבעים והמאתיים העודפים על הלוויים מבכור בני ישראל, ולקחת חמשת שקלים לגולגולת, בשקל הקודש תיקח 20 גרה השקל, ונתת כסף לאהרון ולבניו פדויי העודפים בהם. ויקח משה את כסף הפדויים מאת העודפים על פדויי הלוויים מאת בכור בני ישראל. לקח את הכסף 65,300 בשקל הקודש. ויתן משה את כסף הפדויים לאהרון ולבניו על פי אדוני כאשר ציווה אדוני את משה.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת וחיי עולם נטע בתוכנו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Amen. I would like to say special thanks to Michael Cohen. You know, just this week I signed my contract, and I signed the first contract with you when I came from Israel.
It's a great honor to have you.
Thank you. Whatever you like.
Yechavod.
Page 782, on the bottom of the line, number 1.
No, we're going to be repeat this aliyah. Repeat fifth aliyah. Fifth aliyah, it's page 782, 44, please. Please.
Baruch
Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bacha banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. מדבר אדוני אל משה לאמור, קח את הלוויים תחת כל בכור בבני ישראל, ואת בהמת הלוויים תחת בהמתם, והיו לי הלוויים אני אדוני, ואת פדויי השלושה והשבעים והמאתיים העודפים על הלוויים מבכור בני ישראל, ולקחת חמשת שקלים לגולגולת בשקל הקודש, תיקח 20 גרה השקל, ונתת כסף לאהרון ולבניו פדויי העודפים בהם. ויקח משה את כסף הפדויים מאת העודפים על פדויי הלוויים מאת בכור בני ישראל. לקח את הכסף 65,300 בשקל הקודש. ויתן משה את כסף הפדויים לאהרון ולבניו על פי אדוני כאשר ציווה אדוני את משה.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. You can stay on this side. No, not me.
Okay, not me.
To them. One second. וידבר אדוני אל משה. Here, touch and kiss you.
Baruch et Adonai Hambarach.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Hold the Torah here. Hold the Torah here. Yes, I know. I just want to see where I'm finished, I don't see where I'm finished. Okay. ודבר אדוני אל משה ואל אהרון לאמור, נעשו את ראש בני קהת מתוך בני לוי למשפחותם לבית אבותם, מבין 30 שנה ומעלה ועד בין 50 שנה, כל בא לצבא לעשות מלאכה באוהל מועד. זאת עבודת בני קהת באוהל מועד, קודש הקודשים. ובא אהרון ובניו בנשוא המחנה והורידו את פרוכת המסך וכיסו בה את ארון העדות, ונתנו עליו כיסוי אור תחש, ופרסו בגד כליל תכלת מלמעלה, ושמו בדף ועל השולחן הפנים יפרסו בגד תכלת, ונתנו עליו את הקערות ואת הכפות ואת המנקיות ואת כסות הנסך ולחם התמים עליו יהיה, ופרסו עליהם בגד תכלת שני וכיסו אותו במכסה אור תחת, ושמו את בגדיו ולקחו בגד תכלת וכיסו את מנורת המאור ואת נרותיה ואת מלקחיה ואת מחתותיה ואת כל כלי שמנה אשר ישרתו לה בהם, ונתנו אותה ואת כל כליה אל מכסה אור תחש, ונתנו על המות.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam natan b'tocheinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. You can go here, you can sitting near your sister.
Page 784, verse 11 in the Hebrew or the English. Taking this aliyah are Maddie's parents, Todd and Sue Duffy.
Yeah? You're fine.
Here.
Mm-hmm. One, two.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Morach L'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach L'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
אמן. ועל מזבח הזהב יפרסו בגד תכלת וכיסו אותו במכסה אור תחש, ושמו את בדיו ולקחו את כל כלי השרת אשר ישרתו בם בקודש, ונתנו אל בגד תכלת וכיסו אותם במכסה אור תחש, ונתנו על המות ודישנו את המזבח ופרסו עליו בגד ארגמן, ונתנו עליו את כל כליו אשר ישרתו עליו בהם, את המחתות ואת המזלגות ואת היעים ואת המזרקות, כל כלי המזבח, ופרסו עליו כיסוי אור תחש, ושמו בדיו, וכילה אהרון ובניו לכסות את הקודש ואת כל כלי הקודש בנשוא המחנה. ואחרי כן יבואו בני קהת לשאת ולא ייגעו אל הקודש ומתו, אלה מסע בני קהת באוהל מועד, ופקודת אלעזר בן אהרון הכהן, שמן המאור וקטורת הסמים ומנחת התמיד ושמן המשחה, פקודת כל המשכן וכל אשר בו בקודש ובכליו. ודבר אדוני אל משה ואל אהרון לאמור, אל תכריתו את שבט משפחות הקהתי מתוך הלוויים, וזאת עשו להם וחיו ולא ימותו, בגישתם את קודש הקודשים. אהרון ובניו יבואו ושמו אותם איש איש על עבודתו ואל מסעו, ולא יבואו לראות כבלה את הקודש ומתו.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chai olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Yes, please rise.
Okay.
Everything okay? 1 second, you not said nothing, no Kaddish.
Yikadal v'yitkash shemei rabba. Be'alma divara kirute ve'amlich malchute. B'chayechon u'vyomechon u'chayet lechol beit Yisrael. Bagala u'mizman kariv ve'yimeru amen. Yehei rabba mevorach. Le'olam lo me'omaya yibarach. Yibarach ve'yishtabah ve'yipa'ar ve'yitramam ve'yitnaseh ve'yitadar ve'yitalev ve'yitalal shemei dekudesha rechu le'elam min kol birchata ve'shirata tushbechata ve'nechamata damiram be'oma ve'yimeru amen.
I'm going to recite a mission prayer of well-being for all those in our community who are sick or ill. Please come forward. We can have the name. Which way, the Hebrew, the English, or the Yiddish, or the Farsi. It doesn't matter if they're Jewish or not, but that way we can pray for their speedy and hope for recovery. Yishaber from the kingdom of Yisrael, Kepro, Rakel, Leah, Yivarech, Tekip, Yilatenu, Et, Elazar, Berakel, Rajia, Matzvah, Kol Shema, Bershon, Matzvah, Kanakat, Olam, Shmuel, Chaya, Shara, Krishna, Malka, David, Yoel, Ben Levi, Mordechai, Ben Israel, Ayal, Hesha, Machana, Sarvi, Al-Hashaya. Thank you so much. Eva, Yehuda. 12. Your turn.
Sleigh bells.
Material girl.
Bekhom Gila Hakadosh Kashbar Mili Rahman Balahem Kam Ratan Shafal Kushim Shimar Bishikamet Shafal Israel Shman Turko Hashim Karim Namar. Amen. Please remain standing as we recite the Mission Bear, a prayer of well-being for the brave men and women serving in army on behalf of the IDF, the Israel Defense Forces, and the Armed Forces of the United States of America who help protect our borders, both here and abroad, our adopted homeland and our eternal homeland.
Please repeat after me. It's very easy to catch in Hebrew. Mishebera Avotenu Avraham, Yitzchak veYaakov, Hu yevarech et chayalei tzva hagana leYisrael, Mishebera avotenu Avraham, Yitzchak veYaakov, Hu yevarech et chayalei tzva hagana leYisrael. העומדים המשמר ארצנו בעלי אלוהים גבורת בנו במצרים מן הגלו בלבלבה ביבשה באוויר ובים ייתן אדוני את בין הקמינים כפי לפניהם. הקדוש ברוך הוא ישמור ויציל את חיילינו מכל צרה וצוקה, מכל נגע ומחלה, ישתה ברכה והצלחה בכל מעשה ידיהם, ידבר שונאינו תחתיהם ויעטרם בכתר ישועה ועטרת ניצחון, ויקוים בהם הכתוב כי אדוני אלוהיכם ההולך עמכם, להילחם לכם במותכם הושיעתכם ונאמר אמן.
מי שברך
אבותינו אברהם
יצחק
ויעקב הוא יברך את חיילי צבא לישראל ונאמר אמן.
You may be seated.
תעמוד הבחורה כלת הבת מצווה, מרים רות בת בנימין וסשה דבורה, מפטיר בכבוד. Wait a second.
No, it's not in the middle. If anything, it's here. Thank you.
Baruch et Adonai Hamborach.
ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד.
Baruch Adonai et Adonai Eloheinu. Baruch et Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et torato. Baruch et Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Vaydaber Adonai el Moshe ve'el Aharon lemor. Al tachritu et shevet mishpechot hakati mitoch haleviim vezot hasilahen v'chayu v'lo yamutu v'gisham et kodesh hakadashim Aharon uvanav yavo'u v'samu otam ishish al avodato ve'el mazao ve'lo yavo lirot kebala et hakodesh va'metu. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata betochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
It's my pleasure at this time to recite a Misha Berach, prayer of well-being for Maddie Duffy on the occasion of her becoming a bat mitzvah in front of friends and family. Misha Berach Abotenu Abraham Yitzchak Yaakov Terkach Eliyahu Yivorech et Miriam Ruth bat Binyamin v'Sasha Devora shegiya lemitzvot v'ala likvod hamakom likvod haTorah likvod haShabbat HaKodesh Baruch Hu Reha v'yecha v'yichonenet liba liyot shlema im Adonai Eloheha lago b'torato l'lecha b'dirchav mishmor matzvotav v'shlach b'racha v'tzlacha b'so ma'aseh yadeha yurtzon shuzku harleha legadla l'torah l'chupat l'masim tovim v'timsa v'chen v'sechel tov b'eni Elohim v'adam v'nomar Amen. May God, who blessed our ancestors Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Becca, Rachel, and Leah, bless Madeline Duffy, who has been called to the Torah upon reaching the age of mitzvot with a reverence for God, the Torah, and Shabbat. May the Holy One protect and sustain her, helping her to be wholehearted in her faith, to study Torah, and to fulfill mitzvot and to walk in God's ways. May her parents rear her to maturity, guiding her to a love of Torah, Jewish learning, to the chuppah, the marriage canopy, and to a life of good deeds. May she find favor before God and all the community, and let us all say, Amen. Amen. And please rise as the Sefer Torah is lifted. You may be seated. The Haftarah, the selection from the Book of Prophets for this Shabbat, can be found on page 786. The introduction, page 786, and the Hebrew and English text in the following pages. It comes from the prophet Hosea. It's all of chapter 2. Again, page 786 in the introduction, the Hebrew and English text in the following pages, and the closing lines, which we're going to hear Maddie chant in just a moment, verses 21 and 22. V'arstich le'olam, v'arstich li b'tzedek u'mishpat v'chesed v'rachamim, v'arstich li b'emunah v'yata et Adonai. Those are lines we say every morning during the week when we lane tefillin, when we bind it around our forearms. So again, without any further ado, I give you our Bechor HaBat Mitzvah, our Bat Mitzvah girl, and our Maftirah for this Shabbat morning. Please, let's give her our undivided attention as she chants. Let's follow along, again in the Hebrew or the English. Page 786 is the introduction and the Hebrew and English text in the following pages.
No. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Asher Bachar B'Nvi'im Tovim V'Ratah V'Divrehem HaNe'emarim Be'emet Baruch Ata Adonai HaBocher B'Torah Uv-Moshe Avdo Uve-Yisrael Amo Uvin-Vi'eh Ha'emet V'Tzedek V'haya Mispar B'nei Yisrael Kechol Hayam Asher lo yimad v'lo yisafer V'haya Bimkom Asher ye'amer lahem lo ami atem ye'amer lahem b'nei Yochai v'nikbetu b'nei Yehuda u'b'nei Yisrael yachdav v'samu lahem rosh echad ve'alu min ha'aretz ki gadol yom Yisrael imru la'achechem ami ולאחותיכם רוחמה ריבו ועמכם ריבו כי היא לא אשתי ואנוכי לא אישה ותסר זנונה מפניה ונעפופיה מבין שדיה ונפשי תהנה ערומה והיא תקתיה כיום היוולדה ושמתיה במדבר ושתיה כארץ צייה והניתיה בת שמה ואת בניה לא ערכים כי בני זנונים המה כי זנתה עמה הובישה הורתם כי אמרה אלך אחרי מאהבי נותני לחמי ומימי צמרי ופשתי שמני ושיקויי לכן הנני סך את דרכך בסירים וגדרתי את גדרה ונתיבותיך לא תמצא ורדפה את מאהביה ולא תשיג אותם וביקשתם ולא תמצא ואמרה אלך ואז שובה אל אישי הראשון כי טוב לי אז מעתה excuse me for one moment והיא לא ידעה כי אנוכי נתתי לה הדגן והתירוש והיצהר וכסף הרביתי לה וזהב עשו לה בעם לכן אשוב ולקחתי דגני בעיתו ותירושי במועדו והצלתי צמרי ופשתי לכסות את ערוותיו ואתה אגלה את נבלותך לעיני מאהביה ואיש לא יצילנה מידי והשפעתי כל משושה הגני חדשה ושבתה וכל מועדה I missed a verse ולא יצילנה מידי ושיבתי כל משושה הגן חדשה ושבתה וכל מועדה והשימותי גפנה ונתנתה אשר אמרה את ההמה לי אשר נתנו לי מאהבי, ושמתי ליער, וחלתם חיית השדה, ופקדתי עליה על ימי הבלים, אשר תקציר להם, ותעד נזמה וחלייתה, ותלה אחרי מאהבה, ואונתי שכב נאום אדוני, לכן הנה אנכי מפתח, והלכתי המדבר, ודיברתי על ליבה, ונתתי לה את כרמי המשרה, ואת עמק החור לפתח תקווה, ואנתה שמע כמנורה, וכיום עולתך מארץ מצרים, וחייב ביום ההוא נאום אדוני, תקרי איסי, ולא תקרי לי עוד בעלי, והסעירותי את שמות הבעלים מפיה, ולא יזכרו עוד בשמם. וחרתי להם ברית ביום ההוא, עם חיית השדה, ועם עוף השמיים, ורימס האדמה, וקשת וחרב ומלחמה, אשבור מן הארץ, והשכבתים לבנתך, ורשתיך לי לעולם, והרישתיך לה בצדק ובמשפט, ובחסד וברחמים, והרשתיך לי באמונה, וידעת את אדוני. Oh my God. It's I am so nervous.
Everything great. You're good. Okay.
Ellie.
Go.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, tzur kol ha'olamim, tzadik b'chol hadorot, ha'el ha'ne'eman, ha'omer v'oseh, ha'medaber u'mekayim, shekol devarav emet v'tzedek. Ne'eman atahu Adonai Eloheinu, v'ne'emanim devarecha, v'devar echad midevarecha, achar lo yashuv rekam, ki el melech ne'eman, v'rachaman atam, baruch atah Adonai. Ha'el ha'ne'eman b'chol devarav. Rachem al Tzion ki hiveit chayenu, v'la'alvat nefesh toshia, bimhera v'yameinu, baruch atah Adonai. Mesameach Tzion bevonecha, Samecheinu Adonai Eloheinu be'Eliyahu hanavid avdecha, uv'malchut Beit David meshichecha, bimhera yafao ve'yagel libeinu, al kiseo lo yesh azor, ve'lo yinhalu rod in aharim et kivado, ki v'shem kodshcha nishbat alo, shelo yichbeneru le'olam va'ed, baruch atah Adonai. Magen David. Al HaTorah ve'al HaAvodah ve'al HaNevi'im ve'al Hom Yashabat Hazeh Shenatatan Lanu Adonai Eloheinu Liktulasha Ve'limbecha Ve'shmod Uletifaret Al HaKol Adonai Eloheinu Anachnu Modim Lach Umevarechim Otach Yitzbarach Shemecha Ve'fichol Chayte Amid Le'olam Va'ed Baruch Ata Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat.
Amen.
Time to throw gently the candy, please.
Captain! No sound.
Oh, nice one.
Really, have you still?
No throwing from close.
I'm not a bar mitzvah, kids. Let me sing together and clapping. Siman tov u'mazal tov. Siman tov u'mazal tov. Siman tov u'mazal tov. Yehelanu. Siman tov u'mazal tov.
Mazel tov, it's Simon Tov.
Siman tov u'mazal tov. Siman tov u'mazal tov. Yehelanu, 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 Ulechol Yisrael. Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Ulechol Yisrael. David Melech, Chai v'kayam. David Melech Yisrael. Chai v'kayam, ay, 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 siman tov u'mazal tov, u'mazal tov, siman tov, siman tov u'mazal tov,
Mazel tov, it's Simon Tov.
Yehelanu, 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 Ulechol Yisrael, Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Ulechol Yisrael, David Melech Yisrael, Chai v'kayam, David Melech Yisrael, Chai v'kayam.
Come on up, Maddie. In addition to deftly dodging those fruit candy projectiles and even catching one and leading us in portions of the service, chanting from the Torah, and then a very long Haftarah, Maddie has prepared some words of Torah, Devar Torah, about that which she and I have studied together these past several months. Initially on Zoom, and then when Omicron started to die down a little bit, we have it up here, meeting in person. She's going to deliver it now, her sermon, while speaking slowly and clearly, not forgetting to enunciate each and every word, but also flashing us that beautiful smile of hers. So without any further ado, I give you our Bechorah Bat Mitzvah, our Bat Mitzvah girl, Maddie Duffy. Okay, ready?
Yep. Shabbat Shalom. This is way too high. Hang on. Thank you all for coming to share in my Bat Mitzvah service. Today's Torah portion is called Bamidbar, which translated in English means numbers, or in Hebrew, to in the desert. Bamidbar deals with two major themes: the significance of the desert in Jewish traditions and the counting of the Israelites. The Parsha begins with God commanding Moses to take steps of the entire Israelite community. At this point in our history, the Jewish people have been brought out of Egypt and have been wandering in the desert for over a year. Now, the census back in Moses' time was not exactly like ours today. For starters, it only counted males, and only those over the age of 20, and does not include Levites, who are responsible for services in the sanctuary. It goes on to describe a lot of number crunching, assessment of taxes, and descriptions of who is excluded, all of which is only probably understandable to the accountants here today. Since I am the product of 2 attorneys, not going to even try to explain that. Yeah. The entire book of Bamidbar deals with the Israelites' struggle to survive in the desert for what could turn out to be 40 years. Why were we stuck in the desert so long, and why does the Torah spend so much time talking about it? Some historians believe that we had to grow strong enough to reclaim our land. Others suggest something similar, that even though we survived being enslaved, we had to continue to toughen up to make it through more difficult times without losing our belief in God. Still, others say that we had to learn how to live and grow as free people, to depend on each other, to get organized as a people. The theory I found to be most fitting was that we had to stay long enough to grow into a new generation who would no longer remember the pain of being enslaved in Egypt. We had to become more hopeful. What can we learn from our ancestors' suffering in the desert? I think the desert represents many of the difficult times we lived through in our lives. Here we are, coming out of 2 years, almost 3, living with a global pandemic. To me, living through COVID, especially those first few months, can be compared to the Israelites surviving in the desert. We had to learn to live differently. My mom foraged for food on the web. My dad was compelled to leave his office. School was practically non-existent, and I slept in a tent. Truthfully, it was a blanket fort that I built in my room. Thankfully, we didn't have to live in this desert for 40 years. We survived, and hopefully, like the Israelites in the desert, we are growing stronger because of it. The other part of my parsha deals with the census. Why did God command Moses to count the Israelite men? There are a number of theories for this. Some historians suggest that it was strategic. Moses needed to know how many men would be available to go to battle for Israel, and that he was counting his troops. Some rabbis say that God wanted Moses to count the people so that God could admire his treasures and make sure nothing was being lost. That God counts on the Jews to perform tikkun olam, which is caring for the world. However, this census was different from censuses done before. This time, as Moses counted the people, he organized them and told them how valuable each tribe, family, and individuals were to their society. I thought how to explain this with a more modern example, and I thought about the Disney movie Encanto. I think most life lessons can be explained by one Disney movie or another, so why not this one too? Spoiler alert, if you have not seen this yet, I'm about to spill the cliffhangers. I'm sorry in advance. In Encanto, each member of the Madrigal family has a special gift, some kind of magic that they use to support their community. One can cure people with her cooking, another creates flowers from air, another can lift anything with her strength, another controls the weather, and still another can hear the quietest pin drop. But the main character, Mirabel, has no gift, no magic. It seems like she is not important and must stand off to the side while her family shines. But when their magic starts to fade because they are all so stressed out from being compelled to care for the community, it is only Mirabel who notices them and encourages them to chill out and be more human. She also helps Bruno, the black sheep of the family, who allegedly misused his gift, back into the fold. At the end of the day, Mirabel, even without a magical gift, was important. She counted and she mattered. I think that the census in Bamidbar symbolizes this idea, that each person matters in some way, even if it isn't so obvious why they matter and should be counted. In my life, I like to think I count in a lot of ways. I'm often a member of a cast, a band, a chorus, each time playing my part. I am also a classmate, a friend, a sibling, a daughter, a granddaughter, you get the idea. And now that I am a bat mitzvah, I am also counted as a full member of our community. Today's Haftorah talks about Hosea, who was the first prophet to compare the bond between Israelites and God to a marriage, but who also had an unfaithful wife. Just as in today's Parsha, the desert plays an important role. As the Jewish people wandered in the desert, they began to worship idols again, forgetting their commitment to God. Hosea compares these acts to an unfaithful spouse and reminds the people that they must resist the temptation to worship idols. He calls on them to renew their commitment to one God and to the covenant, and convinces the people that the only way they can succeed in building their nation is by being unified under God's rule. This message of commitment is repeated in the last 2 verses of the Haftorah, which are also repeated daily while laying tefillin, a daily symbol of commitment to God. Finally, tonight marks the beginning of Shavuot, which is the celebration of a spring harvest and also of Moses receiving the Torah at Mount Sinai, 7 weeks after escaping slavery in Egypt. The celebration of Shavuot continues the same theme of covenant between God and the Israelites. Accepting the Torah as our law is a symbol of commitment to God. Personally, celebrating my bat mitzvah as we approach this holiday is particularly symbolic because it is also the time when we read the book of Ruth, Ruth being part of my full Hebrew name. Now that I am a bat mitzvah, I will continue to renew my commitment to Judaism by fully participating in our customs and obligations. Much like the men counted in Bamidbar, I can be counted in a minyan. More importantly, I can be counted on to participate in Tikkun Olam, the healing of the world. This brings me to my mitzvah project. As many of you know, I am very, very interested in environmental causes, and in particular to saving sea turtles. Several years ago, I hosted a lemonade stand to benefit charity with my good friend Kylie Stoughton. With the half of our earnings I got to keep, I adopted a turtle named Chestnut through the New York Marine Rescue Center. I also successfully convinced the East Williston School District to give up plastic straws. For my mitzvah project, I will be participating in beach cleanups around Long Island with the New York Marine Rescue Center, and I will donate a portion of my bat mitzvah gifts to their rescue facility. I have been interested in the environment since first grade when my science teacher, Mr. Cupstas, told us about endangered species. With my bat mitzvah project, I hope to improve the lives of injured sea turtles and seals. Lastly, thank you so much to Mr. Groves for all of your help with learning my Haftorah, Torah portions and blessings, and for teaching me over the summer, even when I was in the car. And thank you to Rabbi Stanger for helping me write this Devar Torah, to Cantor Caravani for helping me perfect my chanting of the prayers for the Shabbat service. Thank you, Maura Mindy, who has known me for 7 years and through all of that has provided an amazing Jewish education to me. Thank you to my sister, Ellie, who has been a great help to me and has always been there supporting me. Thank you to my parents who have supported me through thick and thin, especially these past few years. Thank you to those on Zoom, my friends for making studying bearable, laughing at recess, and helping me make it to this day. Thank you to everyone who came today to see me become a bat mitzvah. It truly means the world to me. Thank you especially to those who traveled far and wide to be here. Have a lovely day, and Shabbat Shalom.
Don't go anywhere.
Okay.
That was beautiful, Maddie.
Thank you.
Take a breath. And some of words that you spoke about, in fact, about Moshe and inspiring the peoples inspired me in what I'm going to talk about this Shabbat vis-a-vis leadership. And I just want to say that it really was a pleasure to work with you and to know your family for so many years. Of course, your parents have been very active in our synagogue, and they've given in a lot of ways. In multiple ways, both with their time and finances, and it means a great deal to us. And something that I just want to give to you on the occasion of your becoming a bat mitzvah. So I don't know if these look familiar, but I know yellow, as you told me, is your favorite color. I could see from your dress. So in a moment, you're going to have gifts presented to you. I'm going to ask you to put this in the bag. Take this home, and you've probably heard my spiel before, but put it in your freezer. And one day you're going to find someone special, and a week before your wedding day, take it out, let it thaw out, let it unfreeze, and then on your wedding night, you and your special someone each have one. The idea being you're going from simcha to simcha, from one joyous occasion to another, because you'll have many successes in your life, I have no doubt, with graduations and with theater rehearsals and shows and performances and things of that nature, but the next major Jewish milestone for you will likely be your wedding. So keep this with you. And now I'd like to ask you to bow your head ever so slightly as the cantor and I recite upon you the Birkat Kohanim, the priestly benedictions.
Yevarechecha Adonai veishmerecha.
May the Lord bless you and keep you.
Yair Adonai panav elecha vichuneheka.
May the Lord God gaze upon you and be gracious to you.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha veyahasem lecha. Shalom.
May the Lord God gaze upon you and extend to you and your family a lifetime of health, happiness, and most of all, what we need in this world today, peace. And we're going to put this in here. Now we have some gifts to bestow upon you on behalf of our community, and someone who's no stranger to your family. You even mentioned her daughter in your speech, is Molly Stein, our chair of the Board of Ed. I can't think of a better choice to give you, to present you with the gifts on behalf of our community this morning.
All right, I'm going to try not to cry so I don't embarrass my family. Hi, guys. So, I think it was Rosh Hashanah. Your father pulled me aside and said, Molly, you're making Maddie's presentation at her bat mitzvah. I said, I am? He goes, you are. I said, I guess so. And I was just so honored to be advised, not asked, but advised. And it was, I've been thinking ever since, what can I say about you, Maddie? Well, the sea turtles was the first thing that came to mind. And the lemonade stand that you and Kylie had in our driveway 3 summers ago.
I think so.
I've lost track of all the time.
COVID is.
Yeah. Maddie, you are just amazing. Everybody in this room is here because we love you and we appreciate you and because you count. And you especially count for my family because we wouldn't be in this synagogue and I wouldn't be so involved in this synagogue if it wasn't for you and your family. I'll never forget the Purim Carnival before we became members. I walked in the building with my kids and within 30 seconds you had Kylie by the hand and I didn't see her for 2 hours. And I said, I guess we're definitely joining. And it was just a no-brainer, a no-brainer. The way you command yourself, the way you just get back up again is just amazing, amazing. The education you received in our Hebrew school is, what can I say? But it also takes the students and the family's involvement in the education and in the lives of the synagogue to really bring out the bat mitzvah or bar mitzvah child. And you radiated, you continue to radiate, you will always radiate on this bima, in this building. Hebrew school's over, but the education is not. And I am just so proud of you and so grateful to your parents and Ellie for being so welcoming to our family and loving us as much as we love you. And what a beautiful day to celebrate you and your sunshine that is just everywhere. And we are just so proud of you. Let her. Come on. If there's a day, it's today. Maddie, your personality is just what we all love about you and appreciate about you. And you matter and you count. And you counted before your bat mitzvah and you will count way after. And just mazel tov on all of your accomplishments. It was a tough year. You had a lot going on. NHD, school, you've had a lot, and studying for your bat mitzvah just, it added, and I'm just so proud of you. We're all so very proud of you, and we love you. So here are some gifts from the synagogue. Don't lose that candy. That's very important. There's a Kiddush cup in here for you, and I'm sure you'll use it for Shabbat and holidays with your family. There is a certificate commemorating today, and I'm sure it'll get framed and put someplace very special in your house. And there's a siddur for you to use.
It's fun size.
Yes, it's fun size. For the rest of your life. And again, we're all just so very proud of you, and your kind heart and your friendship just means the world to everybody in this room and to the Steins, and we love you.
Thank you.
Mazel tov, sweetie. I'm gonna go give this.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to ask your parents and your sister to rise in their seats. And we're just going to say something very special. It's a bracha, a blessing, and we're going to say it actually tonight because tonight is the first night of Shavuot, the Shehachayanu blessing. Blessing said over very special occasions. So if the Duffy family could repeat after me, Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Shehachayanu, v'kiyamanu, v'higianu, lazman hazeh. Praised are you, Lord our God, sovereign of the universe, who has kept us and sustained us and caused us to arrive at this most auspicious occasion to many more Shehachayanu moments together in your future. Amen. Selah. I'd like to ask everyone to please rise right now as we're led into English, a prayer for our country at the bottom of page 148.
A prayer for our country. Our God and God of our ancestors, we ask your blessings for our country, for its government, for its leaders and advisors, and for all who exercise just and rightful authority. Teach them insights from your Torah, that they may administer all affairs of state fairly, that peace and security, happiness and prosperity, justice and freedom may forever abide in our midst. Creator of all flesh, bless all the inhabitants of our country with your spirit. May citizens of all races and creeds forge a common bond in true harmony, to banish hatred and bigotry, and to safeguard the ideals and free institutions that are the pride and glory of our country. May this land under your providence be an influence for good throughout the world, uniting all people in peace and freedom, helping them to fulfill the vision of your prophet. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they experience war anymore. And let us say, Amen.
Rock and Redeemer of the people Israel. Bless the state of Israel, its promise of redemption. Shield it with your love. Spread over it the shelter of your peace. Guide its leaders and advisors with your light and your truth. Help them with your good counsel. Strengthen the hands of those who defend our holy land. Deliver them, crown their efforts with triumph. Bless the land and with peace, and its inhabitants with lasting joy. And let us say, Amen.
Avinu, Avinu, Shebash, Tzur Yisrael v'goalo. Avinu,
Avinu, Sheba Shamayim,
Tzur Yisrael v'goalo. Barech, barech et Medinat Yisrael, Reshit tzmichat geulatenu. הגן עליה בעברת חסדך, ופרוס עליה סוכת שלומך. אבינו,
Avinu, Sheba Shamayim, Israel v'goalo.
אבינו, אבינו, שבשמיים, צור ישראל וגואלו, ושלח אורך ועמיתך לראשיה, שריה ויועציה ויועציה, ותקנם בעצה טובה מלפניך, ותקנם בעצה טובה מלפניך. אבינו, אבינו,
שבשמיים,
צור ישראל וגואלו. אבינו,
אבינו, שבשמיים, צור ישראל וגואלו.
חזק את ידי מגני ארץ קודשנו והנחילם אלוהינו ישועה, ועטרת ניצחון תעטרם, ונתת שלום בארץ ושמחת עולם ליושביה, ונאמר Amen.
You may be seated as we're led responsibly with the Ashrei, middle of 151.
Actually, whispering in my ear is actually just going to distract me, so I'm confident in Ashrei Yoshvei Veitecha, Odi Hallelujah Salah.
Ashreham shekachalo, Ashreham shadonai Elohav.
Tehillah leDavid, Aramimcha Elohai HaMelech, Va'avarcha Shimcha le'olam va'ed.
B'cho yom avarchakav, halal shimcha le'olam va'ed.
Gadol Adonai umhulo me'od, Ve'li gdulato ein cheker.
Dor l'dor yishabach masecha, gvurotecha yagidu.
Hadar kevod hodecha, V'divrei nifleo techa asicha.
Ve'zuz nerotecha yomeru, gdulatecha saprana.
Zecharav tuvcha yabiu, V'tzidkatcha yiranenu.
Chanud v'rachum Adonai, erech apayim udo chased.
Tov Adonai lakol, V'rachamav al kol ma'asav.
Yoduch Adonai kol masecha, v'chasidecha yivarchucha.
Kevod malchutcha yomeru, Ugvuratcha yidaberu.
Lo dilu ne'adam gvurotav, ugvod hadar malchuto.
Malchutcha malchut kol olamim, Umemshaltecha b'chol dor vador.
Somech Adonai l'chol hanoflim, zokef l'chol hakfufim.
Einei chol elecha yisaberu, Ve'ata notein lahem et ochlam be'ita.
Poteach et yadecha, umatzbiah l'chol charatzon.
Tzadik Adonai b'chol derachav, Ve'chasid b'chol ma'asav.
Karo Adonai l'chol karav, l'chol asher krov emet.
Ritzon yira'av ya'aseh, Ve'et shavatam yishma ve'yoshihem.
Shomer Adonai kol avav, v'karashayim yashmid.
Tehillat Adonai yidaber bi, V'varech kol basar shem kodsho le'olam va'ed.
V'anachnu nevarech ya, me'ata v'ad olam. Hallelujah. We rise, page 153, Seder Hachnasat Sefer Torah, the service for returning the Torah scroll to the Ark, page 153.
אדוני למבול ישב, וישב אדוני מלך לעולם, אדוני עוז לעמו ייתן, אדוני יברך את עמו בשלום, ובנוכו אמר שוב אדוני בביתך בישראל, קום אדוני למנוחתך, תעבור עוזך, כהניך ילבשו צדק, חסידיך יברכך. בעבור דוד עבדך, תשב בני משיחך, כי לקח טוב נתתי לכם, תורתי אל תעזובו. עץ חיים היא, למחזיקים בה, ותומכיה מאושר. דרכיה ארעי נועם, כל נתיבותיה שלום. השיבנו אדוני אליך ונשובה, חדש חדש ימינו, חדש ימינו כקדם.
You're all free to go on your own time. Okay. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. For the time being. We're not done with you yet, don't worry. Please take a seat. Shabbat Shalom. Hope everyone can hear me. Thank you. Many, many years ago, when I was in seminary, I had to complete a summer course in chaplaincy by way of Uncle Sam. More specifically, in my case, it was the United States Navy. So I spent an entire summer in Newport, Rhode Island, where the Naval Education Training Center was located, and completed the officers' course with a number of other seminarians, Catholics, Protestants, even Muslim, in order to be commissioned as a chaplain in the United States Navy. One of my course mates was a young Baptist seminary student from Louisiana, Gary Fayard. He was a great guy, a baseball lover like myself, and he had even served as a former Marine. One day after PT, I asked him what it was like having served in the Marines and gone through training as an enlisted man. Gary was circumspect, explaining he liked it overall. He thought it was a good experience, but that at times the tactics of the Marines, which back then involved not just verbal, but even a bit of physical abuse in order to break you down physically and mentally so that they might build you back up in their image, it didn't really work for him in the long run. Maybe as a man of faith, he needed more spiritual inspiration or compassion, empathy. In the end, he felt his mission in life was to serve God. So he traded in a career in a position in the forward artillery for the pulpit and pews. The truth is, after more than 2 decades now as a rabbi, I find there are many different ways to be a leader or to lead people. And what works for some may not work for others. What I'm most curious about, however, is there a Jewish way to lead? Now, in the opening of this week's Parsha, Bamidbar, you have a scene in which God commands Moses, Se'u et rosh kol adat b'nei Yisrael, which is often translated as take a census of the children of Israel, the entire community, as Maddie pointed out, or at least, in this case, it was every male 20 and up. But it actually means lift up the heads of every Israelite male, because that is how they were to be counted, a head count. But even that's a little misleading, because in truth, Moses didn't actually count heads, like some biblical version of duck, duck, goose. Instead, according to the rabbis, he had all the Israelite men, all those who could be conscripted into a fighting force to defend the fledgling nation, throw in for every head a half shekel. And then they were all gathered up and counted. The idea being that in Judaism we don't count people. We don't objectify them. Possessions are counted. Money is counted. Prisoners are counted. In the Holocaust, we had the appel and selection, lineups and selections. We were dehumanized. Free people, however, should never be numbered or counted. What should not be discounted is the fact that as they traveled together and the men were selected for battle readiness, God and Moses, by extension, wanted them to feel good about themselves. They were going to fight not just for themselves, but for one another. And God wanted, through Moses, to instill a sense of pride in them, of worth, of cooperation. To me, that is what leadership is all about. It should never be about demoralizing a person, or scaring, or intimidating, or even frustrating a person, at least not Jewish leadership. It is about inspiring them to new heights and possibilities. teaching them that they have something to contribute as much as that half-shekel tax. They are part of something greater. They have worth, but even more worth as part of a whole. Together, they can all serve a greater good for a greater purpose. My opinion is that true leadership, whether you aspire to it or are born into it or have it thrust upon you, is not worth doing if you're going to lose your humanity in the process and, God forbid, try to strip others of it as well. Obviously, being a leader is somewhat times lonely and tough, and you aren't trying to win a popularity contest. But you also won't get very far if everyone hates or resents you. And belittling people, challenging them unnecessarily is not the Jewish way. Not to me. A good leader should therefore be someone who can communicate well, who can get their point across respectfully and professionally, and in a way that their subordinates or charges will therefore not only fully comprehend, but will in turn want to communicate back with them as a result. Finally, a good leader also has to know when to listen. There's a time to lead and a time to listen, and a true leader often knows instinctively how to balance between the two. The old adage states you can always net more flies with honey than vinegar, but more importantly, we should listen to others for the same reason we want others to listen to us. We see what happens in this world when a person cannot see or perceive the humanity in someone else. When there is, God forbid, an assumption, a mistaken belief that someone else matters less, that their lives are assumed to be cheaper, their worth is assumed to be less important or of far less value. Their feelings don't matter, their family doesn't matter, their God doesn't matter, their life doesn't matter. Feelings such as these leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to war. War to bloodshed and death. Whether on the battlefields of Ukraine or a supermarket in Buffalo or a school in Texas. In my estimation, to be a Jew doesn't mean to just have a head for thinking or one that is counted to serve your people. It means to have a heart. It means to have a soul, a neshama. But more than that, it means to see that everyone else you interact with, everyone else around you, has that as well. Maybe if we remember that lesson a little better, the world could slightly be a better place. Or at least our world, the immediate world around us. Trying to see the humanity in another. It's not just about making someone feel better. It should make us feel better as well. It's not just about humanizing others, it's what humanizes us in the process. Now, I'd like to end with a short story about Torah study, since the festival of Shavuot is fast upon us. Once, many years ago, a rabbi was teaching a novice how to read a pasuk, a verse from liturgy. The young student chanted well enough, but when he came to the double yud, side by side, he tried to pronounce this word that isn't a word, and the rabbi explained that these two yuds are a stand-in for God's name, Adonai. At that end of the verse, he then came to the sof pasuk, which in traditional Hebrew is indicated by two dots, one on top of another, and it ends the verse, like a period. And he tried to now read them as God's name. Oh no, his teacher corrected him. These two dots simply mean that we have come to the end of a sentence. We don't pronounce them as God's name or any other word. To which the student, most perplexed, responded, "How do I remember the difference? They look so similar. Two yuds next to one another, or one atop the other. It's all a little confusing." His teacher mused for a moment and responded, "Well, when two yuds are next to one another, as two Jews who are equal, standing side by side, shoulder to shoulder, that is where God dwells. And therefore we say his name. When one yud is atop another, as if one Yid, one Jew, is dominating or holding down another, that is a place where God isn't. Shabbat Shalom and Chag Sameach. I'd like to ask everyone to please rise for the Chatzi Kaddish, page 155.
Yikadal ve'ir kadad shemei rabba.
Amen.
Ve'amadi v'rak yerutei ve'amlich malchutei v'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayev dechol beit Yisrael bagala uv'izman gariv v'meru amen yehesh me'rabba mevorach Le'olam lo me'omaya Yitbarach Ve'yishaba ve'yitpa'ar ve'yitromam ve'yitnasei Ve'yitadar ve'yitaleh Shemei dekudet shabrechum Le'elam minku birchata ve'shirata Tushbechata ve'nechamata Damiram be'oma Ve'meru Amen.
We begin the Amidah for Musaf, the standing portion of the service together, page 156b, while facing straight ahead at the Aron Kodesh, the Holy Ark, and of course eastward towards Jerusalem.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avoteinu Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah. Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Konei Hakom, V'zocher Chasdei Elo,
ומביא גואל לפני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ופוקד ומושיע ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ופוקד שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיה מתים אתה רב להושיע. מוריד הטל, מכלכל חיים.
מחיי מיטיב מרחמים רבים זומר חולים
ורופא חולים
ומתיר אסורים
ומקיים אמונתו שני אחר מי כמוך בגבורו ומדומך מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה ונאמן אתה לחיות מתים. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיה המתים. נעריצך
ונקדישך
כסוד
שיח שרפי קודש המקדישים שמך
בהקודש
ככתוב על יד נביאך
ככתוב על יד נביאך וקרא זה אל זה ואמר
קדוש קדוש קדוש
כבודו מלא עולם, משרתיו שואלים זה לזה, איה מקום כבודו לאומתם, ברוך יאמרו.
ממקומו הוא יפה ברחמים, מחדים שמו ערב הבוקר בכל יום תמיד פעים ואהבה שמה אומרי שמע ישראל אדוני אלוהינו אדוני אחד
שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד, הוא אלוהינו, הוא אבינו, הוא מלכנו מושיענו, והוא והוא והוא, ישמיענו ברחמיו, והוא והוא והוא, ישמיענו ברחמיו, שנית, 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 לעיני כל החי, להיות לכם לאלוהים, אני אדוני אלוהיכם, ודברי קודשך כתוב לאמור. לדור ודור, כן. 1, 2, 3.
לדור ודור,
לדור ודור,
לדור ודור,
לדור ודור,
לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, לדור ודור,
דור ודור,
לדור ודור,
דור ודור,
לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש, קדושתך נקדיש. שמך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש, לא ימוש לעולם ועד. לדור ודור, לדור ודור, לדור ודור נגיד קולך, כי המלך גדול וקדוש אתה, קדוש וקדוש אתה. כי המלך גדול וקדוש אתה, קדוש וקדוש אתה.
ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
We continue down silently in the Hebrew and the English through page 161.
This is the kids are going to be cold enough. Thank you, Hen.
Yes, Holy Rockfeld, can I call her up?
We have more.
No.
Okay, you call them up. Don't worry.
She's my best friend.
We have time.
I can't sing, can I?
If you're still davening the Amidah, please don't interrupt. We conclude page 181, Kaddish Shalem.
התגדל והתקדש שמי רבה, בעולמה דברה קורתם וחותם חייכון ומחול מחתך ובישראל, בהגלה זמן קריב ואימרו.
Amen.
השמי רבה מבורך, לעולם ולעולמי עולמיה, יתברך, יתברך ושתבח ויתפאר ותרומה ויתנשא, יתהדר ויתעלה ותעלה שמדי קודשה, לעילה מכל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמרמה ואימרו. יתקבץ לוטון ובוטון וכל ישראל, קדם אבון וישמע ואימרו.
Amen.
יש למה רבה מן שמיה וחיים אליו מכל ישראל ואימרו. עושה שלום במרומיו ויעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואימרו. אמן.
Amen. You may be-
We call up to the Bima Harley Rockfeld.
page 182, you may be seated for Elin Kelohenu.
She's coming. Who is with medicine.
I'll go with that again.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Coming up. Stay here with the microphone. Coming up. Okay. 1, 2, 3.
En Eloheinu, en Kadonenu, en Kemalkeinu, en Kemoshienu, Mich Eloheinu, Mich Adonenu, Mich Kemalkeinu, Mich Moshienu, Nodel Eloheinu, Nodel Adonenu, Nodel Emalkeinu, Nodel Moshienu, Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshienu, Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Shetiru, Avotenu, Lefanecha et
And we rise for Elena. We call up, we invite up to
Madison
the demons
Pollock.
to join. Oh, yes.
Come on, Maddie.
So, like you know all the prayer. Alenu together. 1, 2, 3.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, latei kedula liotze breshit, shelo asanu kiborei haratzot, melo samanu kimoshpochot ha'adama, shelo sam halkeinu kahem, vegor aleinu kechol hamona, v'anachnu korim, u'mishtachavidu modim, Lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu shelunotei shamayim v'yosei haaretz u'moshe v'karo b'shamayim ha'af u'shlina tuzov v'gorei meromim u'Eloheinu einot emet malkeinu efes ulato Kakatu v'torato ve'atatayom she'ashevota elavecha ki Adonai hu Elohim b'shamayim imav ve'haaretz mitachat einod
al kenikam v'lachal Eloheinu l'ramayar v'kerot the Havi Gulin Min Haaretz V'Hai Lim Karji Karji V'Takino Lo V'Shada V'Chavdei L'Sayiku
ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד.
נאמר וחיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד to do a don't alarm, we call...
Wait. Mourner's Cottage first, but you could call them up. It's okay.
Kylie, Haley Pollock, Missy Pollock, and Amanda Pausner.
Right. And in the meantime, everyone except those in mourning observing a yard site can be seated for Mourner's Cottage, page 184. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabah ve'alma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael ba'agala v'zman kari v'yimru. Amen. Yehei shmei rabah mevarach le'olam u'me'el maya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shmei d'kudashah Brechu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tishbechata v'nechamata damiran be'alma v'imeru. Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imeru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imeru. Amen. So we're going to conclude with Aleinu, page 187, and then announcements and Kiddush and Hamotzi.
We make Alenu.
We did
Oh, Don Olam. Yeah. Oh, did I say Aleinu? I'm sorry. You know, I'm not used to having a bar mitzvah girl call out the people. I like it. I mean, I think we should do it more often. So, Don Olam, page 187, we finished with Aleinu.
Adon Olam asher malach b'terem kol yitzir nira le'etna Asav v'chefso kol, Hazai melech shemo nikra, v'yaharei kechot kol. Levado iloch nora, v'hu haya v'hu hover, v'hu yiyeh b'tifara, v'hu echad ben sheni. Lehamshil lo lehachbira, v'li reshit v'li tachlit, v'lo ha'oz v'hamizra, v'hu eli v'hai go'ali, v'tzor v'li v'tzara, v'hu nisi u'manosli, menakosi v'yom ekra, v'be'ado afkid ruchi, v'etiv shan v'ha'ira, v'imruhi v'itachli, Adonai li Elohim ra.
Very nice. Maddie, again, a beautiful voice. I'm going to leave thank yous to our president in a moment, Sandra Weingarten, but just because she never thanks herself, I want to thank her and Molly Stein and Stephanie Fox, our 3 trustees on the BEMA this morning. So, speaking again about lay leadership, they do a great job, and especially for Stephanie, it's been a tough few weeks with the Rangers in the playoff. So she's a hardcore Islanders fan, her and her family. Being a Yankees fan and someone right now who's keeping his fingers crossed, I know what you're going through. So hang in there. Gamzu Shavor, this too will pass. But I do want to mention, very important, tonight at 7:30 p.m. is Shavuot. Well, services start. Sundown is a little bit later. We're going to be having services outdoors in the Clare Garden, which is just next to the playground. Everybody, anybody is welcome. We're going to begin with the mincha service. We're going to serve some dinner, Sudah Shlishit, dairy food. The cantor and I are going to teach for a little bit, and then we'll do evening services. So it'll be 7:30. We would love to have you. And like I said, it's going to be outdoors, so there shouldn't be any issues with people who have COVID concerns. I do want to thank one of our regulars who joins us all the time over Zoom, and she made it here in person this morning, Susan Goldman. We love seeing you over Zoom, but it's really nice seeing you in person. So again, if you want to join us tonight, we'd love to have you. And also, again, I want to make a mention to Michael Cohen. It is wonderful to have you back in our congregation this morning. Please know you're always welcome. We hope to see you again. And Baruch haba. Also, Herzl Zakai, a longtime usher. It was his birthday this past week, so Yom Huledet Sameach. Very happy about that. And let me turn things over to our president, Sandra Weingarten, Esquire.
Good morning and Shabbat Shalom. In addition to Shavuot tonight at 7:30, we'll be having services tomorrow morning, 9:30, Monday morning, 9:30, and Monday is a Yisker day as well. Tuesday night, we are celebrating our synagogue's annual gala, our summer soiree, and we're also commemorating 75 years in this community. So if you have not signed up already, there's still time to buy tickets and join us Tuesday evening. It should be a lot of fun. Thursday, we're going to be celebrating the bat mitzvah of Gemma Slade, daughter of Mitchell and Samara Slade. And Shabbat services next week are going to be outdoors, and we are going to be celebrating a Simchat Bat. Thank you, everyone, for coming this morning. Mazel tov, mazel tov, mazel tov to the Duffy family. They're very dear to my heart. And where is Maddie? Maddie, you were beautiful. Everything was beautiful. Mazel tov, so great to see you. Thank you to the rabbi for leading services, Cantor leading us. Our Gabayim this morning, I believe Saul Waxman led us in service, the beginning of services, and John Katz, Nathan Yadagari.
Yes, Nathan.
Thank you for helping us this morning. Shabbat Shalom, and back to the rabbi. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandra. So I'm going to invite everybody up to where Maddie is for Kiddush and Hamotzi. Maddie, watch that beautiful dress of yours. You don't want to spill any grape juice on it. Okay. So please, we have grape juice for the kids. We have wine for the adults. The wine tastes like grape juice. So please come forward. The challah is provided by Bagel Boss via Molly
ושמרו
Stein.
בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ונראה בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל. Coming over, take more cups please, wine, grape juice. לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. Okay, dear friend, please lift your cup up before I'm going to be invite Maddie and everyone. Please say it. Are you ready? Everyone has? Shh, wait. Everybody has? Okay, so let's say the blessing, Borei Pri Hagafen together. Baruch. Borei. Amen. Now it's the last thing, the last blessing, Hamotzi. Baruch. Amen. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom.